Here we go. Now, what we're doing is we're figuring out. Ahmad is opening a car wash. He knows the function p of x is negative x squared plus 40x minus 375 represents profit. So we'll write that up here. Move this around so I can get my, there we go. So p of x equals negative x squared plus 40x minus 375 represents the function for his profits. Well, if profit is 0, that's kind of the lowest number we want for x. We want profit to be 0. We want all of our profits to be above 0. So let's let 0 be our lower limit. And that means we're in the quadratic form. Well, here's two things. One, if it's in the quadratic form, you can go ahead and plug in A is -1, B is 40, and C is negative 375. That's awesome. But the other thing we can look at is say, well, wait a minute. Will this factor? So 375, some number times some number, let's say this times this is equal to 40? Huh. So what are things that add up to 40? What are the two parts, this plus this equals 40? Well, if we do 20 and 20, that's 400. That's not 375. But what if we did 15 and 25? 15 plus 25 equals 40. And what's 15 times 25? So 15 times 25 is indeed 375. So that means we can put a factor on this and say, hey, wait, we've got x times something, or x plus or minus something, and we'll leave a minus and we'll make it all plus if we need to, and then x minus or plus something here, and it's going to be 15 and 25, but we just got to figure it out. Now, here's the problem. There's a negative sign here. So that makes it kind of interesting when you do first, outside, inside, last for that negative. So we're going to multiply the whole thing by -1. So we want our function, instead of negative x squared plus 40x minus 375, we're going to convert it to x squared minus 40x plus 375. And so what you see, what we just did, we just made the equation much easier. So it's going to be minus for both, because negative times negative is positive. And now we need negative 40x, so we're going to put x minus 15 here and x minus 25 here. And that's going to be x squared, and then minus 25x minus 15x will be minus 40x. And then minus 15 times negative 25 is going to be plus 375. So our two values, this is going to be a downward opening parabola, and the values are going to be 15 and 25. So it's going to be 15, and this one over here is going to be 25. And the profit is all going to be in here between this and this point. And remember, at 15 and 25, your profit is 0. So that's where the x or the y, x-axis, that's where it crosses the x-axis at 15 and 25. So that's where we are going to operate. So that the profit range of bays that Ahmad needs to build to earn a profit is between 15 and 25 bays. Okay, not 15 and not 25, because your profit will be 0, but between 15 and 25. So the range would be 15 to 25 and not including either of them. Okay, there we go. Number 19. What's the quotient of this? So we're going to do long division. So we're going to take 65y cubed. We'll write it in here. 65y cubed plus 28y squared. 28y squared minus 22y minus 5. And we're going to divide that whole thing by 5y plus 1. So we're just going to put 5y plus 1 out here. And we're going to say, okay, what about 5y and 65y cubed? Well, 65 divided by 5, I think is 13. 65 divided by 5. Yeah, it's 13. So we're going to multiply 5y plus 1 by 13y squared. So 13y squared. And we're going to multiply that through, distribute it through here. 13y squared times 15y is going to be 65y cubed. And 13y squared times 1 is 13y squared. And then, like regular division, we're just going to subtract that second line. So this minus this is gone, and 28 minus 13 is 15y squared. So what do we multiply 5y by to get 15y squared? So we're going to add. We're going to go 3y. So 3y times 5y is 15y squared. Then we're going to drop down minus 22y. Okay, so 15y squared. And 3y is going to be plus 3y. And then we're going to subtract that line, so that goes away. And then negative 22 minus 3y is negative 25y. Minus 5. So now, what do we multiply 5y by to get negative 25y? So we're going to say negative 5. Negative 5 times 5y is negative 25. So we're going to negative 25y. And negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. And we're going to subtract that. Right? So if we subtract this whole thing, that means both these signs turn to positive. So negative 25 plus 25 goes away. Negative 5 plus 5 goes away. And that's it. So there is our function. That up there is the quotient. 13y squared plus 3y minus 5. Okay, so let me erase this so we got some room to work on this one because it looks like we're going to kind of run out of some room here. Okay, go. Let me get this out of the way. You guys can't see this, but I can see it. All right, so number 20, what is the remainder when 3x4? That is done the same as above. And that's philosophy. You're going to end up with something that does not factor out at the end. And so that's going to be this over this as your remainder up here. So take that same thing, 3x to the 4th plus 2x cubed minus x squared plus 2x minus 19, and then divide by x plus 2. So x plus 2, and we're going to do 3x cubed times this, so that's 3x to the 4th plus 6x cubed. Okay, and we're going to subtract that. So we subtract that, these go away. 2 minus 6 is negative 4x cubed. And then we want negative 4x squared. So negative 4x cubed is going to be negative 4x cubed. Plus a minus, right, 2 times negative 4. So minus 8x squared. Minus 8x squared. And we're subtracting that. So we're subtracting a negative, makes that a positive, positive. And then it's 8x squared minus x squared. So these go away. 8x squared minus x squared is equal to 7x squared plus 2x. Okay, so we want 7x plus 7x. So 7x squared comes out here, 7x squared. And then 7 to 14x plus 14x. And that is subtracted. So this goes away. 2 minus 14 is negative 12x minus 19. And so we say minus 12. So minus 12x minus 24. And so we're going to subtract all of that, so these become positive. Okay. So then those go away. Negative 19 minus, or plus 24 is 5. And we just take 5 over x plus 2. Oh, wait, go back. Just parentheses, x plus 2. There's your remainder. Okay, double check that one. Make sure question 20 has that answer. Yeah, 5. So the remainder answer on here is just 5. So this is your answer, remainder 5. But it's actually that divided by that in real time, but whatever. Okay, 21 is a real straightforward question. Is f of x equals 6 to x to the 7th an even or odd function? Has to be even, and I'll tell you why in the answer, because it's asking why. Explain. I'm going to tell you right now. You take any number, any number, negative infinity to infinity, any number. So let's pick a negative number, negative 3, and we raise it to an odd power, make it 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. That's going to be negative 3 times negative 3 is 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. Now if you multiply that by an even number, 2. 2 times negative 27 would be negative 27 times 2, which is negative 54. Any number of these, 3 times a negative number is going to be negative. So it's going to be an odd function at all times, because no matter what, this exponent is odd, so it's going to be odd, not even. I was thinking this was 7x to the 6th. My brain was putting a 6 here. So sorry about that. But this is an odd exponent, so it's always going to be an odd function. Even if you took an even number, 3 times 3 cubed, all right, so it would be the same. It would give us 3 cubed equals 27, and then that would be even. That would be odd. Okay, let's straighten this out. All right, let's stay on this for a second. So make sure I'm saying it right, make sure I'm doing it right. So even or odd, and I think what we're trying to say is this is going to be an even number all the time. I was right the first time. It's not odd. It's just a negative or positive. But this is always going to be even, not because of the exponent, but because of this. So this exponent will always produce an odd number if it's odd to begin with, right? So 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So that's an even number, but then if you multiply it by anything, so any odd number, this is what I want to say, any odd number times 2 is going to be even. Any even number times 2, even times 2 equals even. So anytime there's a factor of 2 as the coefficient, so if the coefficient is even, then the function has to be even, not odd. Odd, no. Even, yes. So what it is the coefficient in front. So if we get an odd number, and we multiply by 2, we're going to get an even number. If we take an even number, we multiply by 2, we're going to get an even number. So it's always going to be even if the coefficient, the 6, is an even number. If the coefficient in front is an odd number, then you're going to get both. You're going to have some odd, some even. But if it's an even number, it's going to be even. All right, hopefully that didn't confuse you too much because my brain was running 100 miles an hour in multiple directions and I didn't want to start the video over. So, even. Number 30, I'm going to jump right to number 30 because number 30 has kind of an interesting scenario behind it. The Rocket Club is 60% boys. The number of boys is 3 less than 2 times the number of girls. So 2G minus 3 equals the number of boys. Okay? That's our first equation. We have girls and boys. And then it says the Rocket Club is 60% boys. So that means the total number of kids is made up of 0.6 times the total number of kids is equal to B, and 0.4 times the total number of kids is equal to G. So that means 60%, right? 60%, 60 per 100 equals 0.6. So 0.6, 60% of the total, this is the total kids, are boys. 40% of the total are girls. So what we want to do is we want to take this and this, substitute it in here into this equation for these things. And so instead of 2G, we're going to say 2 times 0.4T minus 3 equals 0.6T. And so what we want to count here is, what is the total number of kids? 2 times 0.4 is 0.8T minus 3 equals 0.6T. Well, we're going to subtract 0.6T from both sides, minus 0.6T. And then we're going to add 3 to both sides, plus 3. Okay, so these go away, and 0.8 minus 0.6 is 0.2T equals 3. So then divide both sides by 0.2. Cancels out over here. 3 divided by 0.2, is T is 15. So there are 15 kids total. All right. And 60% are boys. So 0.6 times 15. Boys equals 9. Girls equals 6. All right. That'll be the end of that video, and then I'll jump in and fill in the others.